issuing a disaster declaration when we don't actually have a disaster right now. But right now, we have the makings of a disaster if we're not careful. What this declaration will help us do is avoid a disaster and to be ready to respond if a fire should start. It means that we can do things like pre-positioning resources in high-stakes areas, which is already happening, and increasing staffing on shifts so that we're ready 24/7. In Austin, we're now at 41 days without measurable rainfall, and we're about as dry can be. Most of Central Texas is in drought, if not severe drought. And as Judge Brown said, burn bans are in effect. Between the dry conditions and windy days, we're in a precarious situation, and we need everyone's help in order to keep everyone safe. Please take precautions, and during this time, avoid the kind of activities that the judge was talking about that could lead to a fire. In the city of Austin, and we'll hear from our chief in a minute, but our fire department has staffed up, and our emergency operations center stands ready to activate should we need to. In fact, the EOC will be activated this weekend because we have such an influx of visitors that we're expecting for F1. There's a football game, I'm told, and all the other different events that are going on.
Soccer game?
Soccer game, yes, that's right. Fire danger is in Central Texas is unique. Now, you may think, how can a fire be unique? But we have unique vegetation, topography, and climate. So our wildfire risk is fundamentally different here. Please check out Ready, Set, Go at wildfirecoalition.org. Ready, Set, Go at wildfirecoalition.org for guidance specifically for Austin and Travis County residents. There's also more information under the Protect Your Home tab on the Wildfire Coalition website. Same site, wildfirecoalition.org, but look for Protect Your Home tab and you can get more information. Please, let's make sure everyone you know signs up also to receive emergency messages about wildfire. There'll be specific instructions that will follow that, but go to warncentraltexas.org. Warn, W-A-R-N, if you can't tell what my accent is saying there, W-A-R-N, centraltexas.org. We also, as we just were bannering here, we have a lot of things going on in Austin this weekend, so it's especially important to get word out for everybody to be careful, to be vigilant, and to take care of each other. We have representatives from the Austin Fire Department and fire chiefs from Travis County Emergency Service Districts here to provide more information on how we're prepared to protect our city and our county from wildfires and helpful tips for our residents and visitors. But now I'm going to turn it over to County Commissioner Jeff Trevelyan from Travis County Precinct 1. Commissioner?
Right. So let me just say for the record that only a guy from Baylor would not know which top 5 teams are playing here this weekend. So I just want to point that out.
That was a joke. That was a joke.
We just want to say it's time for us to work together and be very cautious. My grandmother used to say an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And it's important that we recognize that we've had more than 40 days with measurable rain. It's important to recognize that we've got to make sure that we help ourselves. We don't throw cigarette butts out. Maybe we shouldn't even barbecue this weekend. Let's make sure that we do the common sense things that will keep us all safe. We are really fortunate to have a mayor who works not only with the county judge, but that we work together with our fire departments and our ESDs. They have been working in an unprecedented manner. They talk regularly. They train together. They make sure that we're informed. They're doing all of the right things. When you look at all the places that the mayor mentioned, it's important that we know that there's information that is available. We should take advantage of it. Also, that we make sure that we understand which jurisdiction we're in. For example, Precinct 1 has suffered from some grass fires and from fires over the last month or so. It's important that we recognize what is on the ground, what we're up against, and then when we see something, we say something. If we're driving and we see a fire somewhere, 911, make sure that you report that information. But the important thing is if we work together, if we are cautious, if we become our brothers and our sisters' keeper, then we'll get through this season safely. But it's important that we work and act together and that we protect each other. So I just want to say thank you for all the work that has been done, and let's make sure that we understand what is going on in our communities, and when we see something that the fire department needs to know about, that we make that 911 call and tell them. Thank you so much for coming out, and I want to thank our departments for working together and keeping us safe. And I will bring up, you bring up?
No, you got it.
All right, I will bring up my favorite Austin Fire Chief, Joe Baker.
Thank you, Mr. Commissioner. Well, good morning, and thank you for joining us here today to talk about this very important issue. This pre-exemptive disaster declaration and Governor Abbott's disaster declaration covering 143 Texas counties underscore how serious and widespread the wildfire threat is right now. Grass and other vegetation have reached critical levels of dryness, meaning that fires can spark easily and spread very quickly. Embers can travel up to 1.5 miles, potentially affecting properties well away from the flames. On the current condition, a strong defense is vital. The Austin Fire Department is doing its part in partnership with other city and county departments to increase fire personnel staffing in high-risk areas and mobilizing resources for immediate deployment should they be needed. That is only one piece of the puzzle. Our community have the power to prevent fires by properly disposing of smoking. That means not throwing cigarettes and cigars out into the road or on the ground and stomping on them. It also means obeying the city ordinance that prohibit open flames burning inside the city limits, unless permitted by the Austin Fire Department, and we are not signing off on any permits for open burning. For individuals who tow a trailer, make sure that the chains are not dragging on the ground, particularly on dry and windy days. If you see smoke or flames, please call 911 immediately. Quick action can prevent a small fire from turning into a disaster. The city has the authority to mandate evacuation, and we will utilize that power if voluntary compliance fail and we believe that you are in danger. Your safety is a paramount. Prepare now. Make sure you have an evacuation kit ready that includes essential water, food, medication, pet supplies, and important documents, as well as a flashlight. Have a conversation with those you live with about evacuation. Familiarize yourself with all of the routes that will allow you to get out. Identify a meeting spot or meeting spots away from the impacted area and establish how you will stay in contact in the event your cell phones are impacted. And as the mayor mentioned, you are strongly encouraged to sign up for Warren Central Texas notification to make sure you receive alerts about evacuation and other critical information. It takes all of us doing our part, but together we can reduce the risk of wildfire in our area. And now I'd like to call to the podium Chief Abbott of Travis County ESD number 6.
Good morning. On behalf of the 13 ESDs in Travis County, I want to thank you for being here, in addition to our partners with the City of Austin, as we tackle what we tackle a couple times a year. We were joking a little bit earlier that if anybody's visiting this community in this city and county for the first time this weekend, they're going to think this is our temperatures we're experiencing right now is a daily thing, and they're going to want to move here. And we know, after what we've suffered for the last couple months, that is not the case. So we don't want to give the impression to anybody that may be visiting that it's necessarily the safest time to be here, because we have a serious wildland concern given the topography that is in and around central Texas, in addition to our weather. The fact that we haven't had any moisture in a long time. We don't have any forecasted. The little that we do is very small. And as the mayor and the judge has mentioned, we have some visitors coming in. We have big events happening in the communities, but we also are on the heels of hunting season in a couple weeks, and we're going to see the increase of UTVs, ATVs in areas and suburban areas as well. Many feel that's just reserved for rural communities. We're seeing a lot more use of UTVs and ATVs in suburban areas on hike and bike trails where they're normally not allowed. So we ask the HOAs to step up, help us enforce the rules that you have in the HOAs to keep motorized vehicles off trails and out of parks. An idling UTV or ATV can start a fire very, very easily. As it's mentioned, dragging chains can as well. In preparation for all the response, we have stood up the County Resource Coordination Program. It's in its second year. This is where we dedicate a full-time resource person to allocate all the resources in conjunction with our dispatch center. That way we're sending the right resources to the right amount of calls. We do not want to under-assign resources to a call. We also do not want to over-assign resources to a call, as often there are multiple calls going on in the city and in Travis County, in addition to the other smaller cities that represent Travis County as a whole. In addition to that, we want to remind everybody, as you've heard, warncentraltexas.org, sign up for it. You'll get free alerts. Into that also, it's never too late, except when the fire is behind your house, to start having a defensible space. Create a defensible space around your home. Today, tomorrow, over the weekend, take a little time to move flammable things away from your home, off your deck. Start taking things you forgot about storing in their backyard away from fence lines and away from vegetation. These are things that are magnets to sparks and embers, and that can extend to your homes. All of the county organizations in the city have a free home risk assessment that we can conduct. I can tell you we're not going to be able to bang out 300 of them this weekend, but this is a program that's always available to our constituents in the city of Austin, the small cities in Travis County, and the unincorporated areas as well. I'm going to turn this over to Bill Wilson, the Homeland Security Interim Director.
Thanks, Chief Abbott. I'm Bill Wilson, the Interim Director of the City of Austin Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Management. We are in a drought and experiencing climate impacts. This means we have to think differently about how we prepare for disasters and our community.
You might want to yell.
Sorry, can everybody hear me better? I'll start from the beginning. I'm Bill Wilson. I'm the Interim Director with the City of Austin Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Management. We are in a drought and experiencing climate change impacts. This means we have to think differently about how we prepare for all disasters in our community. That also means you have to prepare, and we, the city, are preparing as well. In addition to wildfire risk this weekend, we also have a busy fall event season. We expect about 250,000 people on or near the campus for the University of Texas versus Georgia football game, and there will be people tailgating, grilling as part of their game time celebrations. Nearly 400,000 Formula One fans will go to the COTA grounds this weekend with cars and campers and be near dry grass. We also have big concerts at the Moody Center this weekend, and we have a sold-out game at Q2 Stadium. This means our city will be filled with thousands of visitors that may not be used to the dry climate we are currently experiencing. To prepare for these events, our office is working with all of our public safety agencies, and we also have the Emergency Operations Center staff this weekend. If there is a disaster, we will provide updates at austintexas.gov/alerts with critical emergency information, and for citizens to prepare for disasters before a disaster hits, please go to readycentraltexas.org for directions. With that, I'll be turning it over to Eric Carter from Travis County OEM.
Thank you, Bill. I'm Eric Carter. I'm the Chief Emergency Management Coordinator for Travis County, and I'll try to be brief. You've heard a lot of good messages today. It's dry. It'll be dry for the coming weeks, although the weather today is gorgeous. It's cool. The ground is dry. The fine fuels are dry. What's the bottom line, right? As a resident, put yourself in a position to get the warnings and alerts that come out. You heard Warren Central Texas mentioned a couple of times. Also, there's other apps out there, Weather Service, your local media. But make sure you put yourself in a position to get the alerts and the warnings that your first responder agencies have to push out to you if we have a bad day. Also, have a plan, right? Know how you're going to, if you have to leave your home in a hurry, where you're going to meet your family. Those are all important tips you've heard today, and I don't need to go over them constantly. We can get through this together. Everybody just, I need you to take heed of what you're hearing today. Not just back here, you see in the crowd behind you, there's a lot of agencies here because they're supporting this message. We all recognize that it's a kind of tender time, not to be a little bit humorous there, right? The fuels are tender. So everybody needs to take care. We're going to do our part. We need you to do your part. So I want to say thank you, and then I'm going to turn it over to Judge Brown to close us up.
All right, thank you all very much. And this nice truck behind us, I want to thank firefighter Russ from the Westlake Fire Department for bringing it over here today. Really appreciate that. Okay, that's all we've got today. Thank you all very much for coming. And if you have any questions, happy to answer those now.
Are there any specific areas in Travis County that are at higher risk?
Yes. Chief, or there you go.
And the question was, is there any areas in Travis County specifically that are higher risk? I would say depending on the topography is one of the leading thoughts we would have. If you're in some parts of southeast Travis County where it's flat, you have a lot of lighter fuels, but you got quite a bit of them because it's still in very many aspects a rural community. If you go to the west side of Travis County, you're going to see steep inclines. Fires do increase up a steep incline faster than they do down. And there's also what we call the WUI, or the wildland urban interface, which most of Travis County has portions of. It's where the communities butt up against wildland preserve land, parkland, or just privately owned land that is highly vegetated and creates a concern when there's a fire there. So the risk really for the west part of Travis County is on the sloped areas where there's one way in, one way out. That's always a concern for us in those areas. Now, if you go to the west part or the southeast parts of Travis County, they're flatter. They have a lot more open range. It's a different type of fuel. All the emergency service districts and fire departments are prepared to tackle those types of incidents, whether it's on the west side or the east side, south side. But is there one particularly that's higher? The whole county is a risk right now.
It seems like the summer was kind of wet. And then now suddenly it's, we're dry, and there's this huge risk.
Yeah.
Are we drier than we normally are in the fall? Can anyone speak to that?
I was blaming Burton Fitzsimmons back there for the lack of rain earlier, but yes, I think we are drier. Where's our fire marshal? I think he's back in there. We got someone?
Justin Johnson.
Okay, Justin. All right.
So what the early season moisture did was cause a profusion of fine fuels or grasses to come up. And that's what's driving us moving into a winter fire season. Once we have our first hard freeze, the grass isn't going to come back. So now we're in a situation where as these cold fronts move in, every time we have a cold front, we have lots of grass and fuel ready to burn. It's just a matter of an ignition, and that's why it's so important that everybody be responsible this weekend, because it only takes one spark to create a catastrophe.
We've had a lot of growth of fuel, and then 41 days of no measurable rain. So a lot of growth of fuel, and then it all dries out. Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Okay.
Are there any active, are the fire departments actively working on brush management to reduce some of these fire risks, or what are the fire departments doing to kind of mitigate some of these fire risks?
In Austin and Travis County, we formed a wildfire coalition. That coalition is a partnership of agencies across jurisdictions that work together to mitigate wildfire risk. So our land management agencies are actively out there reducing fuels on the landscape to protect our wildlands and communities. In the meantime, our residents are preparing their homes and hardening structures, so when the inevitable wildfire does occur, we have action on both sides of the fence. And so that's happening coordinated across the city and the county.
In the past, with F1 coming in, I know I've heard east and southeast Travis County is one of the worst areas for wildfires. With F1 in that area, have y'all in the past seen an increase in wildfires, brush fires, incidents?
You mean specifically with when F1 is here, or just in? I know.
Or either. Answer it either way.
I think last summer we had a wildfire east off 969. I don't think it was coincided with F1 as far as I remember. I don't know. Does anyone else?
He's saying we haven't seen one.
Yeah.
We haven't seen a spike.
So no, I think the answer would be no. I haven't. No spikes relating to F1. Thank you though.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, thank y'all very much.
Appreciate y'all.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Great job, Justice.